All right. Good evening and welcome to the King Middle School Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to quietly observe. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak. I am pleased to call the meeting of the King Middle School Go Team to order at 5:36 p.m. Our first order of business is to call roll. Secretary Mahalan, will you now take the roll?
Yes, Ms. George. When you hear your name, please say present. Barbara Shea. She's on mute. Barbara Shea. And we can see live that she's saying present. So present. Ms. Leon Brown.
Present.
Great. Ms. Rebecca Wallace.
Present.
Ms. Constance Franklin.
Present.
Amaryllis Jones.
Present.
Myself, Rashawn Mahalan, I am present. Ms. Vodisha Ridley. Not present. Mr. Vince Thomas.
Present.
And Mr. Devontae Phillips.
Present.
And Ms. Kalisha George.
Present.
Okay, great. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Okay, our first order of business is to, Ms. Shea, are you with us? Okay, hold on one second.
She's back, Ms. George.
I'm back. I'm so sorry. Present, all those things. I got kicked off for a second.
You were present. I think Ms. George was just trying to let you start.
Oh, let me start. Okay, what did I miss? I'm so sorry. Hold on.
All right, our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you. Are there any changes to the agenda? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
A motion to approve the agenda.
A second?
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. We will review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you. Are there any corrections? If there are no corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting? The previous meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the previous minutes.
A second?
I second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions, please say abstain. Okay, thank you so much. Our first item in discussion, our first action item is approval. Our first discussion item is our school strategic plan. As you know, we've spoken about it in previous meetings, as well as provided an opportunity for any changes to be added to the plan. After taking the time to look at the plan, does anybody recommend any changes to the school strategic plan at this time? Okay. Ms. Shea, would you like to review to move on to the strategic plan priorities?
Yeah, sure. I will. Let me think. I need to, can somebody let me share my screen? Okay. Mr. Mulholland, can you let me share my screen? It won't let me, so. I'm looking at Mr. Mulholland's screen, but I don't think I can share mine. Yes. Okay. Is that my screen? Yes. Okay. All right. Sorry. Can you see? What can you see? Because I don't
Yes,
see.
I see it. It's on.
You see the King Strategic Plan workbook template?
Yes.
Okay. So this is, of course, what we've gone over in past weeks. That's the last time we met. And we met as a staff shortly, I believe, after our last GO team meeting to prioritize our strategic plan priorities. Of course, all of these things are priorities, but we were charged with looking at them as a staff and deciding which are the most important priorities. And the staff at King came up with using data to drive instructional decisions to increase student achievement, focus on teaching daily lessons by utilizing the instructional framework with rigor and fidelity. And this would incorporate number 3, the IB learner profiles, approaches to learning to develop lifelong learners and address our students' diverse styles. IB, of course, our signature program, and also one of the APS 5 signature programming. And then we are looking at building a culture of student support, implementing whole child system of supports that integrate social emotional learning, behavior wellness, comprehensive academic intervention plans, and increasing student attendance and participation. On the last page, while everything is a priority, strengthening teachers' capacity to provide rigorous and engaging instruction was number 5. So all 8 of these continue to be priorities, but of course, when we look at budgeting, we have to make sure our priorities are aligned with the APS 5, which of course they are, because all of the strategies and priorities come out of the APS 5, and our budget for next year. And this is where I say that our budget has been significantly reduced for next year. I'm going to go to another screen. Hold on one second. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to go to screen 2. Just to give you a snapshot of, does everybody see this? Oh no, I have to share it. My bad. Can you see it now? It's just a little, everybody see the budget side? Okay, yeah. So our projected enrollment for next year is dropping by about 100 students, 104, because we were supposed to be at about 850 this year. That did not happen. We have been pretty consistently in 810, 815. That's been our consistent level of, with all the transitions we've had with students coming and going. Our budget was $8,622,839. Our new budget, our budget for this year is reduced by over $638,000. So in creating the budget, of course, enrollment directly impacted our budget, and you can see how it did it. We still have to look at the priorities we've set as a team, and I will need to dig deep into the budget and look at positions and programming and cutting things that will not directly impact our strategic plan. And it is probably the biggest budget cut we've had in all the years I've been here. It's something that's pretty much system-wide, but it's very difficult. And I wish I could say that it wasn't, but it totally is. And so we are still just starting. I've met with HR, I've met with the budget people for them to help walk me through it. And I've gotten assistance from Mr. Brown, who of course created the budget when I was with him last year when he did it. And we're looking at ways that we can address programming and positions without impacting our budget, our priorities from the strategic plan. I'll have more budget information after I have my staffing meetings and the other things that are coming down through the district in the next couple of weeks. Any questions for me?
I have a question. When I know that we have a Go Team training that we're supposed to attend, and I have not been able to do that yet for budget. So when do we, I know we need to approve the strategic plan very soon. When do we approve the actual budget?
When we've looked at the budget and taken out the $600,000 that we need to take out to break even, and that's why it's a longer process than it usually is, because it impacts.
Well, no, I actually wanted to bring up the point that we're getting ready to, I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but I wanted to make a note tonight that we're getting ready to hire a new principal. So I feel like if the timing works out, we probably should wait. We should work on the budget and look at the budget, what you work on, of course, and consider it with you. But I would like to not approve the budget until we hire a new principal.
And I certainly agree with you, but I have been told I have to create this budget.
No, I know. And we appreciate your work in creating it. Absolutely. I guess I just, like I said, I haven't attended the training, so I'm not sure what the timeline is, but I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page, that even though you have to create it, thank you, and we're all going to be looking at it with you.
I'm not creating it. It's pretty very specific what I have to include. It's just, how do we trim it so that we still meet our priorities? And I don't know, Mr. Colby, can you address that at all?
So I'm going to start with the first question, Ms. Wallace. You asked, you mentioned about the strategic plan. You guys really should have your strategic plan. You guys should have your strategic plan finalized and those priorities ranked, because that is what drives Ms. Shea in how she is prioritizing the spending of this budget. In terms of the timeline, Ms. Shea should be able to bring you a draft budget before she has her staffing conference the week of the 22nd. Because what happens is, if you've done your strategic plan and ranked those priorities, Ms. Shea brings a budget, and our budget template will show how she is allocating funds to address the priorities that you all had. And once everybody gets to a basic consensus on, yes, we think Ms. Shea is spending the money where our priorities are, then Ms. Shea takes that budget to the staffing conference and effectively advocates for that, saying, this is what my community has said they wanted and that it aligns with our priorities. Now, unfortunately, we know that our budget is not just all internal to APS, that there are things that happen at the county, state, and federal levels that might impact what happens between when you guys say, yes, we love this draft budget, and when Ms. Shea goes to a staffing conference. So the final budget approval happens after the staffing conference and before March 18th, which is what has been set by finance. Now, in terms of worrying about a new principal or not, regardless of the principal who comes in, you all have set your strategic plan for 2021 through 2025 with those priorities, and that is your North Star, your guiding light. So any principal that comes in should be reading that strategic plan and saying, oh, okay, this is what the community wants. And you should be asking, okay, well, here are our priorities and here's where we want to go. How do you think that you will address this? Because this shouldn't be a case where the principal comes in and goes and looks at your strategic plan and goes, no, I don't want to do any of that, because that's not governance. You guys have set that strategic plan. So as far as the budget and the principal for the year, it's still in alignment with what you guys have said. right? Because there are checks and balances between Mr. Brown or the associate,
Dr.
I'm sorry,
Goodwine. Dr.
Miss
Goodwine.
Dr. Goodwine and finance and also, so it will still align to your strategic plan, and any new principal who comes in is expected to implement the strategic plan. Does that help, Ms. Wallace?
It does. And I wouldn't even anticipate us, selecting a principal that wouldn't agree with what we've worked on and what we've all agreed on. I guess it's just when it comes to budget, I just when it comes to specific line items, I just feel like new leadership should be involved with it. And I know that Howard Middle School is in the same boat as we are in terms of hiring a new principal. And I've been told that by their Go team that they're waiting. They're going to wait to approve the actual budget, not the strategic plan, but just the specific budget until they have a principal hired. I don't know if their timeline is sooner than ours, but I just think
no, their timeline's not different, and they may be saying that, but that's not in the budgets have to be approved by the 18th of March, regardless if you're waiting for a new principal or not. So
okay.
I mean,
All right.
that's exactly what I said, Miss Wallace, but I was told no. So we're just gonna move forward. We're gonna move forward.
I just think that would be nice, wouldn't it? The new leader has a say in the budget, but that's all.
It would be.
Well, but here's part of that problem is that, we call this budget season, and it sounds nice. And in a more corporate world, you may be able to do that. But in a government world, don't forget the school board has to approve the entire budget no later than June 30th of 2022. So in order to approve the entire budget for the district, they need to know what the budgets for the schools are. And because the school district cannot operate unless they have a fully approved budget as of July 1st of 2022.
Sure.
Right? Because that's when the financial year starts. So this is all this is a well choreographed dance with the budget in terms of this is the timeline, this is what we do, this is why we do it this way, because for the school district, they need to have it for first and second read. So that's 60 days. And, so that there's a lot that goes into this that while it sounds nice, this is how it goes. So, and also the other thing to remember, about 90% of the budget is personnel.
Right.
So it's not like there's a whole lot of wiggle room in there. And with a reduction of over 600K, it's going to be tight anyway. So.
Oh, I know.
And again, I am sure that Ms. Shea and Dr. Goodwine are looking to ensure that everything is aligned to your priorities. And that's what a new principal is going to have to be looking at and implementing anyway, are those priorities. So.
I've met with her. I'm meeting with her again. I've met with budget. I've met with HR. I'm not alone in this, but it's a little daunting. You are correct. It is hard because, it's hard. So perhaps we should try to approve the strategic plan so we can move forward. I don't know. Ms. George?
Yes, I definitely agree with that. If you could put it back on the screen, Ms. Shea.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Do you see it again?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So, once again, this was emailed, but if you would like to take a few minutes to look at it again, if there's any discussion about the numbers in red were what the staff believe were the priorities. I mean, they're all priorities, but the top priorities. If you would like to take a look at that for a few minutes so that we can then move to either discuss it further or to approve it as our strategic plan.
You need me to change slides? Because I don't think I can put both slides on. I'll keep this up and then I'll change the slide if you want me to.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I think y'all done a great job, and I certainly would make a motion to approve it. It's Rebecca.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question, Ms. Shea.
Yes, sir.
The numbers listed in red, is that what the new priorities will be listed as, or is that what they were before?
That's what, okay, that's when we went through it as a team, when we met, we had staff meeting and we met to look at the strategic plan. Those were, remember, we all had to sit around and we all had to prioritize, so sorry. So that's me, just settle down.
Yeah, so the numbers in red are what the teams, we all met as a faculty in a faculty meeting in teams of 5, and they shared what they thought the rankings should be. So those numbers in red are reflective of the, and you see that majority stayed the same. There are little differences, but the red are the new ones. Or the new order rather.
Okay. I like it because I also thought that data should have stayed at the top.
Yeah.
To drive instruction, but it's interesting to see what the outcome was because my table that I sat at actually didn't prioritize data. They just thought that in the, and after being in school after the pandemic, they thought that we should prioritize there was something in there about was it SEL or something about, I think it might be on the next page.
Yeah.
Something about
Yes,
the
SEL's on the
students'
next page.
social, emotional, something that should be number one because there is so much trauma. We should focus on rehabilitating their mental state before we can instruct them. That was the conversation.
Yeah, well, it's also building a culture of support, which is what we're doing with the whole child system of supports. SEL, right here on page 1, actually, behavior, wellness, comprehensive, where we're doing the behavior screeners, we're implementing restorative practices. We are connecting students with counseling. We'll still have a care team and an attendance team to look at absenteeism and mentoring students to help them come to school, the things we need to do. So you're right. I mean, those were our top 5 priorities still, kids and data and the whole child, and just based, and you're right, Mr. Mullen, based on what we've dealt with this year, the changes we've seen in our kids and somewhat the changes we've had in ourselves as it applies to coming back, and how very difficult that has been on so many different levels for us, for the kids, getting used to this new normal, for lack of a better expression.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, our goal is instruction, achievement, and the whole child.
So I guess then, after I already made the motion, I guess I should ask then, does are the red numbers that the staff prioritize, is that just for our information, or do we need to just now if something changes?
No, so we're asking if you agree with those of this order now, this new order. Do you think, do you agree with it, or do you see something different that you think should be 1 or 2 or 3 on this list?
So, and Ms. Jacoby, when we look at this order, I mean, like the first part, fostering academic excellence for all, and that we didn't change really the order of those priorities. But on the second one, building a culture of student support, number 5 was considered up to a higher priority than number 4. When do we need to edit this after this? I think that's what Ms. Wallace is asking. At least I think that's what she's asking. It's certainly kind of what I'm asking, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of editing this strategic plan, no, you don't need to change it,
Okay.
but it is up to the Go team to make the final decision on how you are ranking those priorities. Having input from the staff is great, but that's why we have a diverse group on here. So, if the parents and community members think that, and I'm just going to use one that hasn't been ranked. Number 6 is actually a priority. Then you all can make the case for why you think number 6 should be the top strategic priority for the 22-23 school year. Please remember that the strategic plan goes until 2025. You're not going to be able to address all priorities every year. So that's why we kind of want you to rank them, because as Ms. Shea pointed out, the funding for next year, you guys are losing a lot of funding. So you want to prioritize those items that are that you think are going to have the biggest impact for the kids. And then if for some reason there's a windfall, let's say that Ms. Shea focuses on whatever you guys decide are the top 2, and the windfall comes in some way, shape, or form, then at least she knows what 3, 4, and 5 are to go to next. If she says, oh wait, I completely funded 1 and 2, now I can put money towards something else. What am I going to put it towards? So the listing in the strategic plan is not tied to
Right.
how you're ranking them.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you.
So does that open up discussion for my last question, that we need to consider changing it due to the staff input? Or are we just agreeing that it remain in the same order?
So,
I mean, I could
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ms.
No,
Hall.
I was just going to say the 3, increasing student attendance. I can understand why that would be bumped up, since we have, 70 children that aren't coming back or that aren't here, and then the attendance and then the participation on top of that. So,
Right.
yeah.
And I mean, even you talk about, I know we're not talking about budget, but even what we just saw, losing 104 students. So yeah, I do think that should be bumped up to number 3. So I agree. Can I actually see the second page? Michelle, I want to know what 5, 6, and 7 mean.
Okay.
Mulholland?
Strengthen teachers' capacity. So that means number 6 and number 8 is not going to be a priority anymore.
No, I think it's still a priority. It's just we just labeled the top ones.
I like the adjustments. I agree with it. I approve it.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any changes? Does anybody, have a discussion over particular items in it that we want to rearrange, or do we need any questions to get further clarity on any of the items listed? Okay. All right. So with that being said, our action item is to approve the school strategic plan and the priorities. Do we
So
have?
technically, discussion is supposed to happen after the first motion was made, and I already made that. So we just need a second.
We need a second.
So I'm sorry, do we have a second to approve the strategic plan?
Yes, that was my second then.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mulholland. All right. All right, at this time, we can now move to our information items.
You need to see if there's any more discussion, and if nobody voted yet, you need to take a vote. People motioned, but there wasn't a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No
All in favor?
Well, wait, before you ask for the vote, is there any further discussion?
Is there any further discussion?
I mean, I guess I just want to make sure as the staff people that y'all are comfortable that we're not making changes based on the staff input. I think Mr. Mulholland already said he is, but I just want to make sure.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Walls, can you rephrase that or repeat that, please?
I mean, I just want to make sure, since we are still asking for discussion, that we're all comfortable that we're not changing the order of the priorities based on the staff input. And I'm actually asking the staff, I guess, you know.
So the way I'm understanding it is the staff made suggestions, but also now the Go team can also make suggestions. So for instance, Ms. Shea, if you could go back to the first slide.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's the one in red is what the staff suggested, but as a Go team, let's just go one by one. Do we agree that use data to drive instructional decisions to increase student achievement? Do we agree that should be number one?
I think so.
I think so,
Okay.
too.
Yes, I agree.
All right. So the second one, which is focusing on teaching daily lesson by utilizing the instructional framework with rigor and fidelity. Do we agree that should be number two?
Yes.
Okay, so the previous one for 3 was incorporate the IB learner profiles and approaches to learning skills to develop lifelong learners and address our students' diverse learning styles. So that was previously number 3 and still could remain. However, the staff suggested that we should change it to increase student attendance and participation. So which one, if one or the other, or maybe another one, is the Go team, are the Go team members in favor of listing as our third priority on these sheets?
Staff member as well as, of course, a Go team member. I think that the attendance should definitely remain our third priority. Reason being, I believe that if our students are in school, then therefore that is going to help with item 1 as well as, an item number 2. And the instructor leader of my classroom and as instructional leaders of our classroom, we incorporate the IB profilers even in our instruction. So I don't think that that should necessarily be a top priority as opposed to having our students.
Yeah, that's what I was looking
Yeah.
for. Thank you for that.
Well, I also would say I would switch number 2 and number 3, because if one of the reasons why there was a budget shortfall is because of the decrease in student attendance, if we increase the student attendance, then we'd have more to budget with, and then it will allow us to kind of do the rest of the strategic plan because you're fully funded, as opposed to we're in the situation that we're in now with a $600,000 shortfall. So I would actually say student attendance and participation, this is just me talking, should go to 2, and then move number 2 to number 3 and keep everything else as is.
Okay, is there additional discussion? We have some with wanting to move attendance up and some are keeping it at 3. So do we need to have a discussion so that we can finalize which will actually be in position 2?
Well, yeah, I have a question. Maybe Ms. Shea can answer. So there's attendance that is lacking of our current students. The budget shortfall is across the district, right? You said that we're losing students in all our schools. And do you have any insight as to what? Is it they're going to private school? Is it, what, are they not going to school?
Well, I can't speak for other schools. I can speak for King.
Right.
And what we have seen at King, okay, so they waited a little extra time this year before we started no showing kids. So because they wanted us to try to reach out, find kids. We got kids. We've had very spotty attendance for a lot of kids because of COVID and quarantining and not coming back. But the weird thing is, I believe that those babies are still at home. because we have not received requests for records. We have not received like this baby's transferred to this school. We haven't gotten that. These kids. So after we no-showed them, and I forget how many days we waited this year, but it was longer than usual. They're gone from our roster. So, one of my questions was today, well, who's looking for them? Because they're not, because even if they're off our roster, Ms. Wallace, if we were their last school, we would get a records request for the next school. So it's concerning because I think when we do talk to some of our parents, they're just fearful and they're like, it's not safe yet. And it's okay. So, I mean, we've run into that over and over, and I'm sure most schools have, but we've run into it a lot this year. And like, say if a child went home for quarantine, not because he had COVID, but because he was a close contact before they kind of changed some of the rules for that, they wouldn't bring them back. And so it's just been but I'm not so sure. People are like, oh, did you lose them to the charters? No, we didn't. If we did, we weren't informed by the charters that Johnny just showed up. So there's the part of me that thinks if the environment becomes more stable in terms of the information about COVID, King will see kids come back. But of course, the district is relying on the numbers from this year, because last year they left us alone. They did not touch our budget. In fact, they increased it, with extra money from the CARES Act. And now this year they're like, okay, there's your. So I think Reverend Thomas is right. When things get better, they will come, because we have no indication that they went some did, some moved, some, that's just their life. But for the most part, there are kids out there that we know haven't been to school, that the other kids will say, well, he's not going to school. His mom is homeschooling him. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's just been, next year is going to be very interesting to see who walks in the door if things are more stable in this world we live in that involves COVID. And so you're right. I don't know. I can't say that they've gone to private school. I can't say that they've gone to ANCS or any of our charters around us, because they have not reached out to us, or that would be on our radar. Like, whoa, that's not happening.
Right.
And that's where the frustration is, and the sadness for us, because we know they're out there and they're just not in school.
So that is a question for us then. I think Mr. Thomas raises a good point. If we don't have the kids in the seats, then, the authorities kind of weaken a bit, don't they?
Say that last part.
I don't know. I'm just thinking that maybe he's right. We
need I think he is. I think that their enrollment of 762, I think more people are going to walk in, because if they feel more comfortable about coming back to school, they'll come back to their zone school. I don't think that had anything to do with anything except fear, some misinformation. Right. Just in general, it's just been really, and it's a hard fight to win with a parent who has a belief system that, is hard to understand for one thing, but also hard to argue with for another.
Well, then that raises another question. Does bumping up that increased student attendance and participation, bumping it up as a priority, how does that really impact the work? Because what can the school do? What can the staff do? What would a budget increase, how would that impact that?
I don't know, because that's really boots on the ground. That's us, as a team, like we've been doing all year, and reaching out. I just got I asked my social worker for another print out of kids who've been out more than 30 days. So that we can go back and start, reaching out to those kids. We have to start somewhere. And we've been doing it all year. And we've been somewhat successful in getting kids to come back. But it doesn't take much, Ms. Wallace, for a parent. It doesn't take much for a child to not feel well, and then we don't see them for 10 days. It's just, it's a year like nothing I have ever experienced in 41 years of teaching, ever. It's just dealing with people's fear and a belief system that is hard to, if that's your belief system right now. And, they'll say, don't you see the news, and don't you see what's happening? And and all we can do is try to encourage them to come back and give us a chance. Some do, but there's just still a lot of fear, and a lot of fear that people don't want to see, because it's still there. And
Sure.
we see it every day. We battle that every day, trying to encourage parents to let them come back. It's scary for them.
Mhm.
It's scary for all of us on a pretty regular basis, but
Sure.
we have tried to weather that storm. But I mean, our staff has been, we've had more absenteeism this year than we've ever had, and it's for sickness, it's for mental health, it's for so many different things. We're just struggling. We're struggling, and we're trying every day to do the right thing and show up and be ready. But it's been tough. It's been tough. And the district's
Right.
acknowledging that, but they're not living it the way we're living it inside this building, and the way other schools are living it inside theirs. So,
I guess the real question is, for this group, does it help if we bump that up as a priority, because it'll impact how decisions are made regarding the budget, how decisions are made regarding how y'all, does that help, Ms. Shea? And if it does, then I agree with Mr. Thomas that we should bump it up.
If we bump it up, I mean, that is still going to be one of our top priorities, period. Attendance just is, and participation and getting kids back in school, regardless of a budget, regardless of a strategic plan. It is a huge priority for us, because we don't want our kids at home not getting what they need. So that won't change, and money won't probably change it one way or another, because it's a team that we have in place at school that meets, that talks, that calls, that won't change either. Those people will still be here to do that.
Of course, we always do student incentives, but we would still do that as well.
Right. Okay. Well,
that's a great
we
question.
all have to weigh in, but I guess then, given that, then my motion stands that we approve it as the priorities are ranked.
All right. Do we have a second?
Ashley and Brown, second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Any abstentions? All right, thank you. The strategic plan has been approved. We are now going to move to information items. Our first information item is the universal behavior screener. And is the universal behavior screener, which is the screener that talks about student strengths and areas for growth relative to social, emotional, and behavioral well-being. The students at King will be taking that on February 15th and February 16th. On the website is a form for parents. If they choose to opt out and not have their child participate, they would need to complete that. Otherwise, we'll be taking it on February 15th and February 16th.
Letters went home about it this week, also with kids. Everybody got one. I did a robocall about it. Probably will do another one before next week, just to remind parents that we're doing it, and it'll be our second one of the year.
Ms. Shea, can you speak about the principal search?
I can tell you what I know. I think I shared with you all the last time we were, or maybe I didn't, I'm sorry. I got a timeline, I guess. No, I didn't share it with you. I got a timeline about a week ago from HR.
You shared it with us.
Oh, thank you, because I am totally confused.
You sent it to us. You sure did.
You did send an email about it.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. So tomorrow night, well, let me back up. Yes, Tuesday at staff meeting, our teachers had a chance to, they had a big Zoom call with the director of leadership, Dr. Patterson, who I believe will meet with parents tomorrow night on a Zoom call. And basically broke out into small groups and talked about things they want, what we want in a new principal, or what we want to see and what strengths we want to see in this principal. So she was on there and she took that data, and I believe parents, it's Thursday, right?
It's tonight, yeah. It's actually right now. I'm curious to know how many people are there.
So it's tonight. So it's probably very similar. And then there's also a survey on our website as well. That's just a survey of things you want to see. And from there, it goes to the timeline will progress. And the goal, the ultimate goal is that we have somebody in place by the April board meeting. Am I saying that right? Because I had my cheat sheet in front of me and now I don't. They're hoping that they will have somebody in place and approve them in the April board meeting, which means I'm assuming that person will try to end the year here with us and have a chance to get to know King, the school, a little bit before next year begins. So I know they are actively looking.
Thank you. Does anyone have any announcements?
So I have a couple of announcements, but I also have a question. When is your next Go Team meeting?
I don't know. I have to look at that. Mr. Mulholland, do you know? I see him moving.
Because I don't have you having one between now and March 10th. Did you add one to your schedule?
I don't know, Ms. Jacoby. I don't know if they did or not. I don't know.
Okay, because you're going to have a meeting so that you can present the draft budget and get feedback before your staffing conference.
Okay, I'll try to move it. Okay.
I have a notice that we actually have one on March 10th.
Yeah, that's after the staffing conferences. So so you need to have one between now and, you said your staffing conference is the 22nd, Ms. Shea?
Yes.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, so you're basically going to need to have another meeting next week to go over that budget feedback presentation.
Next week, okay. And we're out of school after the 16th next week.
Yeah.
So I guess, could we have one the 21st, Ms. Jacoby?
You can have one the 21st. Another advantage of the 21st. Well, the only problem with the 21st is if the team has a lot of concerns and a lot of feedback, that doesn't give you a lot of time to pivot and address it. Because if your staffing conference is the 22nd, then you'd have to take their suggestions. The thing about the 21st is because students aren't in school, Go teams cannot meet during instructional time.
Right.
But if no instruction is going on, then you can meet at any time during the day that works for your team on the 21st. Same thing with I know it's winter break for teachers and students on the 17th and 18th, but the same rule applies because you're not teaching on those days. You have the entire day to try to meet.
So as a Go team, I think the 21st was proposed. We could also possibly do the 16th if that's not too soon. Can we have a?
I won't be able to do this.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I need to be here, so I won't be able to do the 16th.
Okay, so if we have it on the 21st, understanding that that will be off that day, then I guess we need to propose a time that works for the majority of the team.
And Ms. Shea, I would recommend, because your staffing conference is the next day, if you can get the budget development presentation together and send it out beforehand so everybody can kind of look it over and be prepared with their questions, that might be helpful to facilitate that.
I got you.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is just really difficult, Ms. Jacoby, for everybody, because people are gonna not have jobs when this is over, probably. I mean, positions,
Yes, but
and I still have to deal with, I mean, I'm not saying we can't do it. I'm gonna do it, but I'm meeting tomorrow with someone to help me look through it. So hopefully, yes, I can get all of that done.
right. So one
and
thing
let
to
people know.
remember about this presentation
Mhm.
is if you're not talking about individuals and people, and you're showing how you're allocating funds to address the priorities. So you're
Right.
not getting, and you've already notified your community of the loss of funds, so they know that positions are going to be lost. So,
Right.
and it's that part is never easy, but HR has a process to help identify.
Yes, they've been sending me stuff. They're meeting with me. Yes. I mean, I'm not alone in this. I know I'm not alone in my area here. And I know the district is, supporting lots of people through this year. So yes, you're correct. Thank you.
What's the number again, just for my knowledge, budget number? How much is it being cut?
It's over $638,000. I can't tell you exactly because we've already started playing with it, trying to get the number down. So,
yeah,
but it's a lot of money. It's a lot.
Well, Miss George, to your question, I personally would like the same meeting time on Monday, because it is a holiday for some folks. I don't know, but obviously everybody should weigh in.
My staffing conference is later in the afternoon on Tuesday, so we'll just have to do it the best we can do, and I'll do it.
So as a Go team, who would be available to meet on the 21st at 5:30? Or rather, who wouldn't be available to meet? Okay, so I believe we are setting it for the 21st at 5:30. Okay. Under announcements, we have College and Career Week, which will be held February 28th through March 3rd. There will be options for people to visit face-to-face and share their information about their careers, or visit virtually. That information has been sent out. If anybody is interested, it will also be on the website. So we are definitely welcoming people to come and share their gifts and talents and get the kids excited about College and Career Week. Yesterday, we had a MAP celebration. We celebrated student growth in MAP in reading and math. We had over 475 kids who were able to participate. It was a lot of fun. The kids enjoyed it, and we are just excited about seeing the kids grow in their math and reading assessments and skills. In addition, we had our basketball playoffs yesterday. Our girls are the middle school championships, and we're so excited about that. We had a pep rally for the girls, kind of a hallway lineup, and the kids were excited about that. So we've had a very successful year with athletics. So we applaud them. No one signed up for public comment tonight, so we did not have anyone request to speak to us. So we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time? May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? May I have a second?
A second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, please raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please raise your hand. All right, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you to
evening,
all the
everyone.
staff. Thank you for everything y'all been doing. I know it's
Bye.
hard.
Have a good evening. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
y'all.
Have a good
Thank you,
evening.
all. You all have